Did you know that the Daily Meal ranked tiramisu the hardest dessert in the world to make? Tiramisu is a layered cake dessert, and the bottom is a light biscuit with soaked in liqueur and espresso, and then a mascarpone cheese and cocoa powder and like cocoa shavings in between. My trial run was awful. I basically spent 5 hours doing nothing. My ladyfingers were really hard and they were overcooked. The inside, like the mixture in the inside tasted salty somehow, and I don't really know why because there's no salt in it. And I just wasted an entire night because nothing worked out. These are my pictures. Right there is the ladyfingers, and then I had to whip a cooked egg mixture to make it fluffy, but it didn't work because they were hard and stale. And then that was all the filling, and then that's the espresso, which I soaked the ladyfingers in. My trial 2 is kind of an improvement. It only took me 4 hours this time, and they were still overcooked and really dry, but it was kind of better, but not really. As you can see, the ladyfingers were still really flat, and the edges were still brown, and it soaked up more of the mixture, but it still wasn't very good. But the finished product was kind of better. You could start to see actual layers. This was the recipe I was using for the ladyfingers, and it obviously wasn't working. So I decided to try a new one, but I thought that would work because it was like in ounces and it was French, and like, you know, French know how to bake, so I thought it would work, but it didn't. So I decided to change that, but keep the filling the same because the filling was working out now. Trial 3, I was really stressed out because I tried a new recipe, and it was really simple, just a few ingredients, so I didn't think it would work. But the third trial was a lot better. The filling tasted great, and the ladyfingers were getting there. They still weren't great, but they were a lot better. As you can see, the ladyfingers were a lot fluffier, and you can see the more air bubbles. And the finished product was a lot more layers, and it looked more like tiramisu. This was the new recipe I used. As you can see, it's a lot less ingredients and a lot easier to follow. And it worked out really, really well. It only took me about 3.5 hours this time. So everything was just getting together, and I knew more how to make it, and it was going better. So you can see that it went a lot better. I only decided to make the ladyfingers because the filling was all good, so I didn't want to waste more time than I had to. And you can see that they're a lot fluffier, and it just worked out a lot better. This was my final trial, and I think this was my best one yet. The ladyfingers this one took me longer because I had to put it in individual cups, but other than that, it took me about 3 hours to make everything besides like assemble it. So I think it worked out the best because the ladyfingers were airy and actually soaked up the coffee, and then the layers were pretty defined, so I thought it worked out the best. My conclusion is, like, don't get mad and don't get afraid because you messed up the first time, because it took me 5 hours the first night and it was a complete failure. But it got better, I think, but I don't know. I think you just need to keep trying stuff because it got a lot better.
Thank you.